For 11 consecutive years, we hosted and coordinated 1 to 2 week medical and surgical brigades in our town of Cadereyta, Jimenez, in northern Mexico. We did these in coordination with local authorities, the Christian Medical Society, and a large church in the U.S. that had lots of doctors, nurses, and other medical professionals in their congregation, as well as a generous budget for medical mission trips. The church sent down a team, prescription medications, and supplies, everything we needed to see, diagnose, and treat the patients who came to us for care. Since it was during the summer, school was not in session, so we were able to use a local elementary school to set up the clinic. We started out small with a few general practitioners, nurses, and a dentist, and saw patients every day for the week, diagnosing and treating a variety of illnesses and conditions, including hypertension, diabetes, colds and flu, and even a few cases of more exotic diseases like dengue fever. Every summer, the team grew in size, as did the number of patients that lined up for free, quality medical care. The government's socialized medical system in Mexico left quite a bit to be desired, with long waits, scarce medicine, and generally low-quality care. For non-life-threatening conditions requiring surgery, most patients had to wait 6 months or more before they ever got into an operating room. Within a few years, we had a team of 30-plus medical professionals coming to Mexico, bringing with them a whole pharmacy, laboratory equipment, dental clinic, and team of specialists in the fields of pediatrics, gynecology, cardiology, orthopedics, internal medicine, ophthalmology, urology, dermatology, and others. Local Mexican doctors also joined the team, working side by side with their U.S. colleagues. We had a whole medical center staff of specialists, all on site, donating their time and expertise to help the very least among us. Our temporary, makeshift medical clinic was better staffed and better equipped than most permanent government health clinics anywhere in the state. Cadereyta became known as the town that cared about its people by providing these free, first-rate healthcare services. The different mayors and administrations over the years were happy to take credit for what we did. It made them look good and didn't cost them anything. We were just happy to be able to serve and help so many needy people. But it wasn't just the local people who came to our clinic. People came from far and wide, even from other states, to see a doctor and get the treatment and medicine they needed for free. But most of all, they came to be loved by these amazing Christians who not only offered free medical care, but took time to listen and talk and pray with their patients. There were always tears and hugs and expressions of gratitude. They were so grateful, and we were so blessed. It was a very moving experience for all of us. These medical brigades were building bridges into the hearts and lives of these people, their families, and the whole community for the sake of the gospel and the kingdom of Christ. God was forging relationships that lasted for years as we saw many of the same patients year after year. We watched little children grow up over those years. I could write dozens of stories about the lives touched by this ministry. Lives saved, lives transformed, lives blessed. As the medical ministry grew, we realized we needed a place of our own. We had a ranch about 10 miles outside of town. There we had a large Bible Institute building with many classrooms, a kitchen and dining room, chapel, bathrooms, everything we needed to host and operate our annual clinics there on site. Everyone loved the idea, and so in the weeks before the medical team arrived each summer, I went to work converting the Institute into a legit, temporary medical and surgical center. The facility was equipped with donated medical equipment, which was sent to the border. We just had to go get it. My Mexican friend and colleague, Victor, and I drove his pickup truck to McAllen, Texas, and loaded it up with a dental chair, X-ray machine, surgical instruments, autoclaves, cabinets, and other supplies. The only problem was that there was no documentation or paperwork of any kind on the equipment. We took a chance and drove over the international bridge into Mexico. The customs official took one look at our load and pulled us over. We explained the nature of our medical ministry and prayed he would let us through. We negotiated a fair deal with him, and for only $1,000 he allowed us to pass. Back in those days, we didn't always do things by the book. After all, this was Mexico, the country that invented doing things under the table. They were tips, not bribes, gratuities, never payoffs. Even having paid, we still had to risk driving across miles of open desert to bypass the second checkpoint and get to our destination. This was how we imported vital medical equipment destined to help thousands of people receive free quality medical, surgical, and dental care for over a decade. We even equipped an operating room for eye surgery and a recovery room with beds, the pharmacy, the lab, the dental unit, and the exam rooms. Eventually, we specialized in ophthalmology, and over the last few years, eye surgeons performed well over 500 eye surgeries, mostly cataracts with intraocular lens implants, but also quite a few pterygium and strabismus cases. We provided eye exams and glasses to hundreds of patients, and even prosthetic glass eyes to a number of patients as well. One of the most special and moving moments of each day was first thing in the morning when the doctors would arrive and the post-op patients would all be waiting. One by one, the doctor would go to each patient and carefully remove their eye patch. For many patients, it was the first time they were able to see after having been blind for years. One man did not even recognize his adult son, who was there with him, but who he had not actually seen since he was a little boy. Smiles and laughter and many tears of joy were shed every morning as the miracle of sight was restored to the blind. Television news crews came to document these historic brigades and interview doctors and patients alike. Over the years, we also had many plastic surgery cases with hundreds of procedures done, from mole, scar, and tattoo removal to facial reconstructive surgery. One young lady came to our clinic with a massive growth on her face, almost as large as her whole head. It was a vascular hemangioma and would require multiple delicate and complicated surgeries. Again, our specialists performed the required surgeries over the course of several years, leaving her with an almost normal appearance and able to lead a perfectly normal life. I recall another beautiful little girl around 7 or 8 years old. She wore a wide headband. When she took it off, we knew exactly why she was there. Her ears were twice as big as they were supposed to be. I was hard to not stare at her. I had never seen ears so big in my life. She was taunted mercilessly by cruel kids, and her parents asked if there was anything we could do to help. The procedure was actually quite complicated and would require general anesthesia, so our plastic surgeon scheduled it for the following week at a friend's clinic in town and did it for free. Later, the girl was so excited to see herself in the mirror with a big smile from ear to normal-sized ear. During these years, I wanted to be more useful than just coordinating and translating, so I enrolled in nursing school and got my degree. I was then able to circulate in the operating room and scrub in on many surgeries. This was one of the most rewarding experiences of my life, for which I give thanks to God. Our local orthopedic surgeon volunteered with us and performed many surgeries that enabled people to stand or walk for the first time. Our dentists alleviated a lot of suffering and saved a lot of teeth, improving the quality of life for so many. Our nurses were so amazing and showed so much compassion and care, taking vitals, drawing blood, administering meds and hugs. Our dear lab techs, Dave and Anne-Marie, worked tirelessly all day, every day, doing vital analysis of samples and specimens to diagnose disease for which life-saving treatments could be prescribed. Likewise, our pharmacists were constantly dispensing prescriptions for every imaginable affliction. One little boy came to our brigade on the last day. His eyes were severely crossed, but the surgery schedule was already full and we would be packing up the next day. A local Christian ophthalmologist who was working with us agreed to do the corrective surgery the following week at his own clinic for free. The boy came back to the ranch days after his surgery with his eyes perfectly aligned. He came to give us a gift in appreciation, a baby goat. We accepted it and kept her for many years in our backyard. Her name was Snow White, and she kept the grass cut nice and short so I didn't have to. Over the years, we treated all kinds of patients, from newborns to people over 100 years old. People with every imaginable affliction came, and all were treated with love, respect, and a level of professional care that was unlikely to be found anywhere else. Everyone also heard the gospel. At night, we had precious times of prayer and worship, singing praises to God in the recovery room filled with patients and their families. It was a celebration of what God was doing, healing afflictions, restoring sight to the blind, saving lives and granting salvation and eternal life through Christ. So many stories I could keep writing for hours. What an awesome privilege it was for me to participate in those events, which were among the brightest highlights of my missionary career. Our ministry evolved, and eventually the Brigades in Cadereyta came to an end. But thousands were blessed by the selfless service of the many Christian doctors, nurses, surgeons, dentists, lab techs, pharmacists, and staff who gave of themselves to serve the Lord and their fellow man for more than a decade in northern Mexico. God bless them all, and to God be the glory. Thank you so much for listening to this true story from Memoirs of Mexico. If you enjoyed this story, or if it was a blessing to you, please feel free to like and subscribe to my channel. That would be a blessing to me. I upload a new true story every day. If you like to read, you can also order Memoirs of Mexico in paperback or ebook on Amazon.com. There's a link in the description. Thanks again for listening.